You can fault Warframe for a lot of things, but you can't fault the weapon diversity it has. It's huge. Weirdly enough though, there is not a lot of rocket launchers. Thankfully, today we're checking out one brand new addition in the form of the Tenet Envoy. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 16 primary weapon. I'm going to have a cheap build, something affordable that newer Thanos should be able to build, but it still will pack one hell of a punch. But we're also going to be maxing everything out with galvanized mods, prime mods, Warframe buffs, essentially the works. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and why it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Tenet Envoy. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Tenet Envoy is a primary rocket launcher, so therefore it's gonna be firing rockets, but these are not just any old rockets, these are guided missiles. And the way you guide them, simply by going into aim mode. As you can see, you can change the trajectory of the missile, you can even lock them on to targets, but these missiles will be detonating after a few seconds of flight time. This mechanic is definitely cool, quirky, and gimmicky, but it has limited functionality in normal missions simply because of the tight corridors. Not only that, the self-locking system by the laser pointer and the cool little lock-on sound is a little bit weird. Allow me to show you. So it basically avoided my target initially and started spinning around. Sometimes you can get a missile to infinitely spin around the target, so there are still a few kinks, a few bugs. But again, it is definitely, subjectively speaking, cool. One more issue with the Tenet Envoy. While the reload animation is absolutely glorious, Briefcase and all whatnot, it takes 4 seconds for an 8 missile magazine. Thankfully it does have one more mechanic to make up for that. The Tenet Envoy can self-reload while it's holstered at the rate of 1 rocket a second, so after 8 seconds you should be getting your Envoy fully reloaded. That said, the projectile flight speed actually has 2 gears, believe it or not. The normal one, like so, and I do recommend in normal missions you forget about the lock-on feature and you just aim without it. Go for the feet, definitely, because that's a big explosion, or you can aim for headshots like this and get that extra multiplier. That's cool as well. But it also has a second gear. It changes speed when the lock-on mechanic kicks in, and this is harder to observe now, but if we put on some projectile flight speed, it will be slightly easier to see. Projectile flight speed is still a fantastic idea, however, especially since after the novelty of the lock-on features wears out, you should be using it normally. Again, I'm not denying how cool this thing is. I mean, take a look at what I can do. I locked that missile all the way from there and it locked on and dealt damage, but it has limited use in non-open worlds. If you're going to Orvelis, Fortuna and all whatnot, then definitely it can be very useful. Let's have a closer look at stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mod capacity 80 out of 80, that's a little bit on the strange side. This is a Sisters weapon, and in order to get the most you can out of it, the most mastery points, that is, you gotta format a total of 5 times. The builds do not require 5 format, but if you want all the mastery points, there you go. And of course, hop into actions and plug in that auto key catalyst to double the mod capacity. It's definitely worth it, and if you wanna stack multiple envoys and get the damage up to 60, which is the maximum roll you can get, you gotta go into Valence Fusion. Now mine is not a super high roll, allow me to show you. You do this in the comparison screen, 32%, and these are 2 envoys fused together. You can get all the way to 60%, but even like this, it's just an absolute beast of a weapon. Accuracy is 100, the critical chance is good at 28%, and the critical multiplier is way above average at 2.66. The fire rate is a bit of an issue, as well as the reload speed, and the Riven disposition, this being a brand new weapon, is abysmal. I wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, right now Rivens for these brand new weapons can be good if you get the right roll, but honestly with a 1 out of 5, it's not really worth bothering. Status chance of 24%, which is a tad on the low side considering how many rockets you fire, how many damage instances you're going to be getting on your target. 24% is a tad low. Trigger semi-automatic. Trigger semi-automatic? That's not true. Hold on a second. This is automatic. Yeah, this is automatic. Okay, so that's wrong. I'm just keeping my trigger finger pressed down right now. It's an automatic trigger, it's not semi-automatic. That's weird, I just noticed right now that that's wrong. Anyway, moving on. two instances of damage. This 132 that you see right here is the projectile physically making contact with a target, and this is what we're after, the big radial attack, the big explosion. The range of the explosion is 8 meters. Now 8 meters, my friends, is absolutely huge, with no mods whatsoever, no prime Firestorm, but unfortunately the damage drop off is 80%, meaning at the edge of the explosion, right about here, something like that, you're only gonna be getting 20% of that huge damage, so do bear that one in mind. Is it worth unlocking the weapon Exilus or Plexilus slot on this one? I'm gonna go with a yes, because there are multiple options for this one. For example, this being an explosive weapon, you're gonna be getting that stupid stagger effect that Warframe has instead of the self-damage system. You can get this around, you can get around this by using Prime Sure-Footed or perhaps a Warframe that has the right abilities. For example, you can use Revenant. But if not, you can simply go with Cautious Shot. So this is definitely worth unlocking. I would still argument that it's smart to go with Terminal Velocity. Terminal Velocity will not affect the projectile's lock-on travel speed. So let me show you exactly what I mean. You will see two speeds right now, or should. And go. When it locks on, that speed is not affected. But when you fire normally, this one will be increased by Terminal Velocity. So do bear that one in mind. Other options would be the ammo mutation, but honestly I don't think it's worth it, even though this one only has a 24 ammo reserve. As long as you are getting kills and you're picking ammo after ground with your fetch or your vacuum, you shouldn't really need something like Vigilante supplies. Now let's have a look at a standard build, shall we? Damage acceleration and heavy caliber. Heavy caliber basically has no effect on this one. Not on the lock-on feature, not on the normal projectile travel speed. I also have multi-shot on the build, so as you can see, it doesn't really matter. It does like almost nothing, so 100% go with heavy caliber on this one. Critical chance and critical damage. Once again, we go with critical delay because from my point of view, it's simply better. It's just how it is. 150% instead of 200. I'll take the 200 and the minus 20% fire rate. Now the thing is, the base fire rate of the weapon is a bit low at 0.833, which means minus 20% is not gonna make that much of a difference. We're down to 0.667. So we're 667, of course. Critical damage with Vital Sense, we gotta have 100 munitions since this is a critical primary. And Hammer Shot, what gives? This is a meme mod, right? It used to be a meme mod, but in this case, in the case of the Tenet Envoy, it helps out tremendously because it does have a far above average critical multiplier and you get 60% critical damage and status chance, which the weapon does need. Now it's very important, perhaps even more important in the case of the Tenet Envoy, to get the right progenitor. Go with Toxin, go with Saryn, because the weapon by default will be dealing cold damage, and if you mix in Toxin, boom, default vital, which means no need for 60 mods. I can replace them with something better, for example with Hammer Shot. So going with Toxin on this one is definitely a good idea. Again, this is the standard build, this is the cheapo setup, and we still have one mod remaining. Then we're gonna talk about the arcanes. Now in this one, so many options. Honestly, so many fantastic options. If you already have the galvanized mods, you can go with galvanized scope. Now this is the argon scope improvement, kinda, but the problem is you're not really gonna get a whole lot of headshots when it comes to the Tenet Envoy, simply because of how that lock-on mechanic does work. You're gonna get more reliable headshots if you aim for the head, but while not aiming, but then you're in the range of the explosion and you might get knocked back unless you're immune to it. Honestly, going for headshots with this one is not the smartest thing to do. I would just recommend you aim for the feet. Galvanized Aptitude, this would be best in slot on a weapon such as this one, but unfortunately right now it doesn't function. The on-kill effect, the 40% damage per status type affecting the target for 20 seconds, stacking up 2 times, that one right now is not functional. It will be patched. You still get the 80% status, as you can see when you equip it, up to 62.4 or 0.2. 62.4, there you go. Another quote-unquote best in slot idea would be Firestorm, and this one comes in 2 varieties. You can either go with Prime Firestorm, which is absolutely insane, and you know what, if you have this one, big boom mama, big boom. Everybody loves the big boom. 13.28, absolutely bloody huge. And keep in mind, this also helps with the fall off, right? Firestorm, the normal version, only gets you 24%. To be honest, no, I wouldn't go for this one. If you don't have the Prime, I would not go with Firestorm. Another fantastic idea, if you went for a Toxin progenitor, is Prime Cryo Round, because it simply adds even more on top of the viral. Take a look at that, from 7,000 all the way to 18,340 something. Again, there are a myriad of fantastic options on this one. If you want to go the safe route, if you want to go for something guaranteed to give you good results, you go for a little bit more multi-shot with Vigilante armaments. Now, allow me to explain why Vigilante armaments and not whatever else. Without Vigilante armaments on, the weapon is at 1.9 multi-shot, meaning each and every single shot has a 90% chance at spawning a second rocket, which is absolutely fantastic. But the reverse is also true. Each and every single shot has a 10% chance for split chamber to be entirely worthless. With Vigilante armaments on, 2 rockets are always guaranteed, plus per shot a 50% chance at a third rocket. Needless to say, if you got Galvanized Chamber, this one fully stacked out, 230% multi-shot. That means 3 rockets guaranteed all the time, plus per shot a 30% chance at a 4th rocket, which is absolutely insane. When it comes to arcanes, Primary Deadhead doesn't really work all that well, simply because it's on precision headshot. This is not necessarily a headshot weapon. If you are using melee, of course you are, Primary Dexterity is definitely the way to go. If not, keep it with Merciless. The problem with Merciless is just that 4-second duration, but the rest is fantastic, especially considering the 30% reload speed plus 100% maximum ammo, so it really will work well with the Tenet Envoy. This is a standard cheapo build, and we're going to be testing it on Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120, and then we're going to switch it up with more powerful mods. What I'm going to be doing is placing a single shot, because believe it or not, with this build, there's a decent chance at a one shot. I'm not even going to aim, straight for a headshot. My friends, this is a normal build. I didn't even put anything special on this weapon. Take a look at that. Beautiful slashes, viral applications, the work. Hammer shot works a treat, because without hammer shot, without increasing the status chance of the weapon, your viral procs are simply not reliable. And if your viral procs are not reliable, then your slashes become worthless. It's just how it works. This is the performance of the weapon. It's absolutely insane, my friends, absolutely insane, and I didn't even break a sweat. I didn't even use any prime mods, galvanized mods, or anything of the sort. One more time, just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. One shot in the target, 74,000, 54,000 slashes. Absolutely sensational. Again, try not to aim so you get the full speed, 71,000 slash there. Absolutely sensational. And there they go. Now, of course, we can do a whole lot better than that if we enter galvanized mods, prime mods, maybe even a Riven. Again, I wouldn't go for a Riven simply because the disposition is low, and in order to get a Riven that is actually slottable on the weapon, you're gonna need an either lucky or very expensive roll. Now, I go with Amalgam Serration. This is optional. You're sacrificing 5% damage for 25% sprint speed. For me, that is definitely worth it. Galvanized Chamber, 100%. Again, we talked about this one earlier. And Galvanized Aptitude as an option slot on this one. Galvanized Aptitude should be the best in slot. And again, I emphasize should be. It's not because the on-kill effect doesn't function. So here's another one of my favorites for this one. Prime Firestorm. Even bigger explosion with Prime Firestorm. I know some of you guys really wanted to use Argon Scope or the brand new Galvanized Scope, but considering how unreliable the weapon is with headshots, I would forget about it and simply aim for the feet. But of course, it's entirely up to you. Now, to get the full amount of damage out of this one, we're gonna have to get a couple of kills. Beautiful, man. 40,000, 60,000, 20,000, the targets falling on to one another. As you can see, I'm getting my buff up. I got my multi-shot buff up now, which means a whole lot more rockets than before. The 20 seconds is permissive as long as you can legitimately get consistent kills. As you can see, I still got about 5 seconds remaining. Boom, man. That extra multi-shot is just simply insane. I love this weapon, and once again, I do highly recommend it. And you haven't seen it at its most powerful just yet. It's time for Warframe buffs, and for that we're going to be using the ever so lovely Lady Mirage Prime. Especially considering the headshot situation, I wouldn't recommend it with Hero, but of course it will work wonders with Lady Mirage. Wow, that looks a certain way. When it comes to Warframe buffs, you should be familiar with these by now. Corrosive projection against heavily armored targets. I don't want you to feel forced into this one. Simply use whatever aura works for your Warframe build. For example, Power Donation, Growing Power, or if you just want to E to win, Steel Charge. Warframe arcanes make a huge difference for any weapon. Arcane Rage for primary weapons will be granting you 180% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds. The problem with this one, it's a little bit on headshots. And again, this is not ideal. What you can do is go for a little bit of reload speed or fire rate. Yes, let's try some fire rate with arcane acceleration on critical hit, which we do plenty of. 90% fire rate to primaries. One of the arcanes, from my subjective point of view, should be left for the build of your Warframe, and the other one a general offensive or defensive arcane depending on your taste, like Avenger. Avenger is the most powerful offensive arcane in Warframe from my point of view. It's an undamaged effect, but 21% chance for plus 45% critical chance for 12 seconds, bonus additive after, simply stacking on top of what you already have. And the beauty of this one, if that wasn't enough, applies to primary, secondary, and to your melee at the exact same time. The Sentinel Vigilante trick still works, thankfully, so you can get yourself a Sentinel. Any Sentinel will do, my friends, just make sure you have matching fashion, otherwise it will not work. And get the 4 Vigilante mods for primary weapons. Offense applies Fervor, Armaments, 20% chance to enhance critical hits for primary weapons. And we're gonna go like so. One more time, Corrupted Heavy Goons level, wait, I forgot to unpause them. And to, like, increase the level. Let's go 155. We need to be able to spawn level 1000, 2000, whatever enemies here, and buff them up with the Steel Path buffs in order to get some more reliable testing. Pretty please, dear DE. Unpause the target so they can hit me, and I can get my glorious buffs. Activate Mirage's 4 ability, which is Empower in my case, and then go for the full-on Eclipse, 840%. One more time, Empower, and her ever, oh, so lovely, clones. Of course, you gotta bomb them. You gotta bomb them like that. Beautiful, man. Absolutely fantastic. The amount of damage is just simply insane. The range of the explosion with Prime Firestorm is up to 14 meters or something silly. Like that. It didn't fly high enough. Fly higher. Beautiful, man. I absolutely love this weapon. It's a rocket launcher. It's hard not to like... Wait, are they all dead? Damn it. It's hard not to love a rocket launcher. And now I got my buffs up, you can get them up really quickly when it comes to the Galvanized mouse. The multi-shot one is really important to keep up at all times, if at all possible. The slash values with Mirage can get to like obscene levels, it doesn't really even matter anymore. Now my friends, time to draw some conclusions regarding the Envoy. If I got the feeling right from the community, and I hope I did, one of the most anticipated weapon was the Arcal Plasmor, but close behind was the Briefcase rocket launcher, the Envoy. And from my point of view, it definitely does not disappoint. I mean, they're gone. Look, this look one. You see that? You see over there? Yeah. It's a very strong weapon, but it's not gonna fit all playstyles. It's not gonna be fantastic no matter the situation. Keep in mind, it does have a stagger effect. You gotta get yourself a Warframe or Prime Sure footage just to make sure it doesn't get annoying in actual gameplay. The reload is on the lengthy side. So if you're the type of player that likes to play with one weapon and one weapon only, that reload is gonna get on your nerves really quickly. Might I recommend Prime Fast Hands instead of the range of the explosion. Of you, everybody should experience this weapon. It's one of the more better weapons that we got in recent years, and I do believe that is pretty much it. As always, my name is Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any feedback for me, by all means, let me know in the comment section down below. In case I missed something, because after all, I'm only human, please let me know. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, and if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.